Lesson 120 is on box and whisker plots. Now this is a way to organize a set of data, similar to Lesson 85 when we learned about stem and leaf plots and histograms. Those were ways to organize sets of data. Mainly what a box and whisker plot is used for is to break up a set of data into quarters, like a bottom 25%, a middle 25%, or second quarter, a third 25%, and then a last quarter. Look at this set of data that I have here. And what you need to do first for a box and whisker plot is organize the data from lowest to highest. So let's just go ahead and rearrange it. 0, 1, 2, 3. There's a 4, 2 5s. No 6 that I see. A 7, an 8, a 9, a 10, and an 11. So there's 12 numbers there altogether, and that's what makes doing a box and whisker plot maybe a little more tedious than a stem and leaf, because you have to organize the data from lowest to highest first. And if you had a really big set of data, bigger than just 12 data points, that could be a real pain. However, lots of graphing calculators will do a box and whisker plot for you. So you can just type the numbers in however you want to. So what we'll do with this box and whisker plot is, first, let's just make a number line. Maybe these numbers, maybe those represented scores of a baseball team or something. Those are their runs per game or something. And we'll just start over here with -2. I'll just write every other one. Okay, the number line will just help us stay organized with making our box and whisker plot to scale. And so what we do first is we just make a little dot for where the lowest and the highest values are. So right above the number line, I'll put a 0, a dot above the 0, and then 11, that's our highest value, so I'll put a dot over here. Now we break these quantities up into fourths. And so there's 12 numbers. That would mean 12 divided by 4. Every 3 numbers is a group of 1/4 of the numbers. Okay, so we break it up like that, and we'll have 0, 1, 2. We'll put a dot right there and a line. That whisker, that represents the first quarter. Then we make a box for the second quarter. That goes from 3 to 5. And actually what we would do is just scoot this over, because there's a 2 and then a 3, and so we would just say that it starts basically at 2.5. And so we'd go over to the 5, make a box. That represents our first quarter. Our second quarter, or I'm sorry, that represents our second quarter. The box represents the second quarter. The whisker on the end represents the first quarter. Then the third quarter would go from 5 to 8. So we would just start at 5 again and go over to 8. And actually, let's go to 8.5, because the next number is 9. And so the last quarter is basically that portion, that whisker that we drew on the end. So we can group it into quarters this way, and our median, that would be right there in the middle. The middle number is 5. So just looking at that box and whisker plot, we can figure out what the median is. That's the middle number there between the second and third quartiles. And then we can also figure out the range. That's the farthest left and the farthest right, the difference between those. We can figure out those, but we can't tell what the mean is or the mode is using a box and whisker plot. One thing that it does help us do is just figure out what the distribution of the numbers is in a quartile compared to another quartile. For example, look at the second box, or the third quartile. That has the biggest distribution of any of the other quarters. And so that's something, somebody who has a large collection of numbers and they're trying to understand what's going on with that set of numbers, they might want to know that, how the numbers are distributed within each 25% section. And so that's how you do a box and whisker plot, and that's all for lesson 120, and that's all for Algebra 1. Congratulations, you are done with Algebra 1.